Have you ever watched a Bible movie and thought, wait, did this really happen? The Exodus story is staggering. 600,000 men plus families fleeing Egypt. 10 plagues that shook a nation. A sea torn in two. That's more people than live in Philadelphia today, wandering the desert for 40 years. In this video, we'll explore the evidence, hear what historians say, and ask what it means for faith, whether you doubt or believe. So, what do you think? The Exodus history or holy story? Comment below. Let's start where the story itself begins, with the passage in Exodus. Let's look at the passage that started it all. Exodus 12:37. First in Hebrew, then in English. The Israelites journeyed from Ramesses to Sukkoth, about 600,000 men on foot, besides women and children. Now, notice that Hebrew word, Eleph. Most translations say it means thousand. But here's the pause: this word carried more than one meaning in ancient Hebrew. If we take it literally, 600,000 men. Add wives, add children. That's more than 2 million people. An entire city, larger than Philadelphia, wandering in the desert 40 years. The text says they lived in Egypt for 430 years. From Jacob's 70 descendants into a vast nation. They built cities, worked on Egyptian projects, became woven into the land. But here's the problem. Where's the evidence? Where are the remains of 2 million people in the Sinai desert? The answer may rest in that one Hebrew word, Eleph, and what ancient readers truly heard when they read it. Let's be honest about archaeology, what it has found and what it has not. This is where things get interesting and deeply challenging for a traditional reading of Exodus. Egypt 1,300 to 1,200 BCE, the proposed time of the Exodus. Their record-keeping was astonishing, precise, relentless. These were not primitive people. They documented campaigns, trade, construction, even daily bread rations. We have notes of small migrations, letters with foreign kings, reports of economic disruption after local crises. Egyptian scribes recorded everything that mattered to the state, and yet silence. No record of 2 million laborers gone. No collapse of the economy. No plagues that shattered the land. No Pharaoh's army swallowed by the sea. For a culture obsessed with records, this silence is deafening. Now, the Sinai Desert, excavated for over a century by teams from many nations. They've found nomads, trade routes, mines. When large groups live somewhere for years, they leave marks: pottery, hearths, tools, graves, animal bones, semi-permanent campsites. We can trace the Philistines. We can see Canaanite tribes moving. Even Bedouins shifting with the seasons leave footprints in the soil. But 2 million people, 40 years? No trace. This silence is one of the greatest obstacles to a literal exodus. Still, archaeology does give us some anchors. Semitic peoples lived in Egypt during this time. The Bible's details of Egyptian courts, customs, daily life shockingly accurate. Egyptian art shows Semitic slaves. Documents record Semitic names. Cultural practices slip into the Egyptian record. Some argue silence means Exodus never happened. But what do you think? Comment true or myth. Here's what's certain. The stories of Joseph, the rise of Moses, they fit seamlessly into the Egypt of the late Bronze Age. And here, language becomes key. Because ancient Hebrew did not use numbers as we do. Once you see how Hebrew storytellers shaped meaning, this entire debate begins to look very different. Here's the breakthrough. That Hebrew word Eleph, it doesn't only mean thousand. It can also mean family unit, or clan, or military division. So, 600 Eleph might mean 600 families. That's closer to 20,000 people. Still, a massive group, but archaeologically possible. Here's the deeper point. Hebrew storytellers cared more for truth than numbers. Not census data, but spiritual meaning. Think of your grandfather saying, "I walked 5 miles uphill both ways to school." You didn't measure, you understood. He was speaking of hardship, of grit. Hebrew writers spoke the same way. They used bold images. They shaped numbers into symbols. They painted truth larger than life. Modern scholars divide into camps. Some read it literally, line by line. Others call it myth, nothing more. And many walk a middle path. Something happened, but the numbers are symbolic. Here's what matters most: 2 million or 20,000. God heard the cries of the oppressed, and God acted in history. That story has stirred hearts for millennia. Hebrew exiles in Babylon, African slaves in America, Holocaust survivors, civil rights leaders. Frederick Douglass thundered it. Martin Luther King preached it. Because this story reaches deeper than detail. It speaks to freedom, to justice, to hope. So, how does this ancient cry for liberation speak into your life today? Maybe you feel trapped in your own Egypt, a toxic job, crushing debt, caring for aging parents, all alone, or fighting an addiction that's tearing your life apart. The Exodus story whispers something powerful. God specializes in impossible situations. Israel went from powerless slaves to a free people, from no way out to the promised land. Here are 3 truths to hold when you feel stuck. First, God sees your situation with perfect clarity. You are not invisible. The same God who noticed suffering slaves sees your pain, your 2 amperes, anxiety, your hidden despair. Second, God hears your prayers, even the angry ones, even when they feel like they bounce off the ceiling. Israel cried for 400 years before God moved. Your timeline isn't His, but your voice matters. Third, God makes a way when there seems no way. Red Sea in front of you, He parts it. Mountain in your path, He moves it, or leads you around. Sarah was trapped in an abusive marriage. No money, 2 kids. Today she runs her own business helping other women escape. God made a way. Mark battled depression for 15 years. Almost lost everything. Now he counsels men fighting the same darkness. God made a way. Whether the sea literally split or God opened another path, the message is the same. You are not abandoned. Your story is not hopeless. God is still in the liberation business. Maybe your Red Sea is that toxic workplace. God's way may be courage to walk away. Maybe it's a health crisis. God's way may be doctors and healing hands. The real question is not whether Hollywood told the story right. The question is this: will you trust the God of the Exodus with your impossible situation? I'd love to hear from you. Has the Exodus story ever carried you through a hard season, maybe during illness, financial stress, a broken relationship, or maybe you have honest questions about faith, about history. Share in the comments. Your story, or even your doubts, might give hope to someone else. Someone who feels trapped in their own Egypt. I read as many comments as I can, because this is where real conversation happens. If this video gave you a new perspective, tap like. It tells YouTube these questions matter. It helps others wrestling with the same doubts discover this content. Please, share this with someone who needs encouragement. A friend losing faith, a co-worker battling depression, a family member facing crisis. Your share might be the reminder they need that God still makes a way. And don't forget to subscribe. Next week, we'll ask another big question. Did the walls of Jericho really fall? We'll explore the archaeology. We'll study the text. And we'll wrestle with what it means for people facing impossible battles today. Before you go, remember this. Your questions do not threaten your faith. They can deepen it. God is big enough for your doubts, strong enough for your struggles. And you, yes, you, are not forgotten. Your freedom is possible with the same God who has been setting people free for thousands of years.